Today I'm making a stunning and delicious Turkish dish, Balon Kebabı. Balon Kebabı or Balloon Kebab is a unique Turkish dish traditionally made with lamb or beef sealed inside a tin dough that puffs up beautifully as it cooks. But today I'm giving it a twist by making it with flavorful chicken filling. For the perfect balloon effect, I'll show you a fun trick to inflate the dough before baking. The result, a crispy golden shell with a juicy aromatic filling inside. Let's get started. I have about 400 grams chicken breast that I cut into cubes, frozen, sauteed mushrooms. You can use fresh. This is from Kastamonu, my hometown, local gingile mushrooms that I sauteed and brought to use in my dishes. Also going to use some green and red peppers, 1 onion, couple of cloves of garlic, salt, black pepper, pul biber, chili flakes, and of course olive oil and butter to saute. I'm gonna dice my veggies, thinly slice the garlic. Then going to saute first the onions and then chicken pieces. As I said in the beginning, traditionally we use beef or even lamb is better. You can saute the lamb as the chicken, but if you use beef, it is better to cook first and then after it is soft, saute them with the other veggies. Adding some butter for extra taste. Today I'm using chicken breast, but you can also use boneless chicken thighs, would be even more flavorful. Next, adding the peppers. I still have chopped frozen green peppers in the freezer, so I added more. Adding chopped garlic. If you mince the garlic, the aroma will be more powerful, so it's up to you. I usually prefer just to slice them. Added some tomato and pepper paste. I know that not many of you can find pepper paste, you can omit it. Added extra more oil and the frozen mushrooms and sauteed. For the seasoning, I have oregano, some salt, black pepper, and chili flakes, pul biber. If the mixture is dry, you can drizzle some water and simmer until everything is soft. I have half cup water, adding 3 heaped tablespoons yogurt. You can also add a tablespoon of vinegar. It can be grape or apple, and 2 tablespoons oil for richness, but it's optional. First I added 2 cups of flour and then 1 teaspoon baking powder, and gradually add more flour until I have a pliable, a little bit on the hard side dough. In total I used about more than 2.5 cups of flour. Then just rest for 10 to 15 minutes and we are ready to shape. Here I cut my dough into 6 pieces, resulting 3 balloon kebabs, but it was a bit bigger than I expected for personal serving, so I cut some of the dough pieces. I would recommend to make cutting the dough into 8 pieces resulting 4 balloon kebabs for this amount of dough, which I adjusted later in the video. My chicken filling is cooled down a little bit so I can work more easily. Now going to roll out my dough pieces, closing a clean kitchen towel to other pieces so they don't get dry. And I have my baking tray ready, lined with a baking paper. Just roll out into about a 2 millimeter thickness. So here I decided to cut some of the dough to make a smaller round. This way it will be easier to handle and also will be enough to fill in. So I continued to roll out all the pieces, 4 for the bottom and 4 will be on top. Now I can place from my delicious filling onto my dough pieces. Now the fun part begins. Place the second rolled out dough over the filling. You can stretch a little bit if needs and start sealing the edges. You don't need to decorate it, but twisting the edges helps secure the seal. Just make sure the sides aren't too thick so it's more enjoyable to eat. Leave the last 2 millimeters open and insert the balloon inflator. Gently inflate the dough to create a dome shape. If it doesn't puff up on the first try, don't worry. Air might be escaping, so check the seal, close any gaps and try again. Continue covering the other kebabs and inflating them one by one. If you don't have a balloon inflator, another option is using a piping bag with a small round tip. A simple straw can also work, but for the most hygienic option, it's best if everyone inflates their own kebab. You can probably do that only with the household, but it's just a fun interactive dining experience. When you begin to cover your filling and inflate, you can also turn on the oven and preheat to 180 Celsius degree and brush the tops gently with egg wash. I sprinkled some nigella seeds on top. You can also add sesame seeds and bake in the oven until the top and bottom is beautifully baked in golden color. It's best to serve the kebab right away to enjoy the crisp balloon dome and the steaming hot filling as you cut into it. You can pair it with rice pilav, composto, fruit compote, a fresh salad or even cacık, a refreshing yogurt and cucumber side dish. It is surely going to be a hit, but I recommend starting with a batch for 4 to 6 people to practice the recipe before making it for a larger group. If you enjoyed this recipe, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more Turkish food recipes and travel vlogs. Afiyet olsun, see you next time.